It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition.
Welcome back to the Evan edition, where we talk movies, TV, comics, pop culture, and everything in between. I'm your host, Evan Bernstein, and today I am joined by one of the sharpest voices in film commentary, ready to dive in to the biggest stories of this past week. It is Zach from Zach Attack Reviews.
Hey, another episode of the Evan edition with the best opening on YouTube. I'm excited to be here.
How has your weekend and week been?
My week was rough. I was sick
Oh,
for half
man,
of it.
okay. It's going around. This is the time,
man.
right?
Ate something I wasn't supposed to eat and just could not eat for like 5 days. And other than that, I'm back on the up and up, feeling good. Saw a couple good movies this weekend, and now I'm doing the Evan edition, so it's all good.
Perfect. Yeah, I know. The same thing happened to me like the same time last year, but it was perfect because it was like right before Friendsgiving. So I lost like a few pounds, before I saw people. So I was like, I'm looking good, like got sick. Best way to lose weight.
So, I got space for more food.
Exactly. It worked out, the timing wise, it worked out perfectly. But I'm glad you're feeling better because we got a lot of fun stuff to get into. We are going to discuss, because we haven't gotten to do it. I know you and I saw this in theaters a little while ago now, because we see a lot of things in theaters, but we're going to get into Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, because this bad boy has sat with me for weeks. I cannot get it out of my head. I can't convince my wife to watch it. Maybe tonight. But we're going to get into that. So I can't wait. We are going to talk about how the trailer for Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic, blew up the internet. Could this be $1 billion film? We're going to get into all the stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about what the box office looks like in 2026. Mummy 4, terrible box office for October. Star Trek getting rebooted. Kelvin timeline going bye-bye. We're going to end with some clarification on the Stranger Things beef between Millie Bobby Brown and David Bobby Harbour. So we're going to get into a lot, but I figured let's start out with this. Like I mentioned earlier, Frankenstein is now available on Netflix. People have started to, the general public, I would say, has started to watch it, get into it, see what it's really about. And of course, Netflix agreed with Guillermo del Toro to release it in theaters 2 weeks before it landed on Netflix, just to give him that theatrical run that the movie deserves. And this bad boy is a very special movie. We're going to get into it. We might get into spoiler territory. So I do want to warn you now, we're not going to hold back. I'm not saying it's going to be fully, but we're going to get into how we felt about it, the relationships, the actors, the set design, the costumes, everything that makes this bad boy really special and unique. So if you haven't seen it, I would skip this bad boy until you see this banner on the bottom disappear, like Frankenstein's love for his son. Woo! Let's get into it right away. I've been telling you, I've been messaging you in the Discord and stuff like that. This movie, Frankenstein, from Guillermo del Toro, it has really stuck with me for like weeks after watching it. The way that the story was told, the father and son symbolism, whether it's, Frankenstein and the creature that he created, or his own father and what that did to him in trying to have meaning in his life or trying to make something of his life. There was so much there, and maybe it's the daddy issues in me. I don't know, probably. But this bad boy just stuck with me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I wanted to dive in a little bit overall of what stood out to me in this movie. Right away, you know, obviously from the trailers and the stuff like that, very beautiful film, of course, but I can't help but dive into Jacob Elordi's representation of the creature on the screen. Top down, this is the best acting that I've ever seen Jacob Elordi do.
Easily.
From the tortured soul to the rage and anger to the vulnerability and sadness below his eyes, where you can see the torture that he's going through, not knowing who he is or how he fits in this world. It was a master class in acting. And of course, you know, you need good actors to act against. And he has so many different scenes, whether it's with, you know, Mia Goth or Oscar Isaac, or I'm sorry, the older gentleman's name, Bradley, the blind man in the who becomes.
Yeah, I don't know his name. He was really good.
It's someone that Guillermo del Toro loves to use. He was in The Strain. He was in.
I'll look it up for you now.
Thank you. He's in a bunch of stuff, and every time Jacob Elordi had a scene with a different character, depending on who that person is, whether it's someone that makes him upset, someone that he's in love with, someone that, you know, he can learn from, or someone that takes him in and looks beyond the monster that he is, his mood and demeanor changes and evolves depending on who he's acting against. And it was such a master class. I've never seen him act like this. And he's a good actor. I am not a hater on, you know, a pretty boy Australian guy. You know, that is something for someone else to complain about. I've always thought he was a great actor, whatever it is, in whether it's Saltburn, Euphoria, he has something. But when he was the creature in Frankenstein, it really showed just how good of an actor he is, and that he is the next one up and should be taken seriously. So that really stood out to me. As we break down the movie, do you want to speak on it too? Why don't we go? Well, yeah, why don't we do that? So what did you think about Jacob Elordi and, you know, his acting prowess and what he really showed as this character?
Yeah, just to give a shout out to that actor you were talking about, the blind guy. His name is David Bradley. Just to give him his props.
Thank you.
But Jacob, I've been a fan of since Euphoria. He also was in the Priscilla movie as
Elvis.
Thank you, and and obviously in Saltburn and everything like that. I haven't seen too many of his projects outside of those, but he was top of his game here. He had the weight of playing basically a giant baby in the beginning, learning things, not being verbal, being able to express his feelings through just his eyes and body language, and just even the way he grunted and told a story. He was like a world within himself that was so fascinating. And then as the creature growed and he got more personality and kind of dived into his journey, he just got so much range. You talk about the rage, but also his gentle giantness, you know, his interactions with the blind man. It's just so much. It was so much heart that I wished, I know in the book they don't do this, but I wish they named him. I wish he had a name.
Yeah, it would have been
just calling him the creature doesn't feel right.
At the end, it would have been really beautiful if, you know, I guess we are spoiling because we're getting into it, but, you know, in the end, and this is maybe something that stood with me because I never got an opportunity, but when he forgives his father, you know, like, it was such a beautiful moment, and it showed that, like, he's actually the most human in this story, that the creature, to have the capacity to go through what he went through, to be treated like how he was, and then to forgive his father for all of it in the end before he passes away, and so that the creature can move on. It would have been so beautiful if Oscar was like, you know, I should have done this a long time ago, but we were gonna name you Jeremy. No, I don't know, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so whatever old timey name
like that, like, because you saw in that moment, and I don't, and we'll get to Oscar Isaac in a minute because another masterclass, like always. But in that moment when they are basically, he is owning up to how he treated his son.
Yeah.
And the creature is seeing that and being like, you know what? I forgive you. Like, at least we can have this moment to move on from this. I really thought Oscar was going to be like, you know, I should have done this a while ago, but we were going to name you Adam. You know, I think that's what it is in the like Adam Frankenstein, something like that, like Adam and Eve. I thought there was something like that in the book. I'm not so well versed, so someone can chime in later in the comments and let us know. But I thought it was like Adam or something like that. But I think you're right. I think that would have been the cherry on top of the cake to really make it full circle, to make him live the rest of his life as a real human being with a real name that his father gave him.
Yeah.
You know?
That would have been perfect. And it's not a big ding to this movie because there's so much that works. It's just something that I wish I would have saw because he felt like unlike most Frankenstein, or not Frankenstein, but like movie creatures in the Frankenstein movies that we get, he felt like a person. A lot of times they don't feel like people. They kind of just feel like creatures, or they feel like this shell of a monster that's trying to find humanity. But he felt like a full-fledged person. So it would have been cool to that we got that name.
I think something that you mentioned early on in Jacob's performance is his acting without words, using his body. I mean, this is a very tall actor. He's 6'5", and obviously they made the creature even taller, but he's not a big, jacked, bulky,
very slender
creature. He is lanky and awkward and kind of curls up into himself because of the insecurity of not knowing who he is or what he is or literally how he fits in this world. And the movements of the monster, of the creature, it really helped understand what they were going through without saying any words, whether it was him, you know, crouched up, leaning, you know, down and scooping into the water, into that stream in the underground, seeing the leaf float down there, and him kind of ape like, where you're figuring out your muscle movements and
motor
how
skills.
to your motor skills and hand-eye coordination, and you could really see, like you were saying, that he started from a baby in, you know, a 7-foot body, but just the way that Jacob Elordi decided to move as the creature and how the movements evolved as he was learning more about himself and about the world, and it changed throughout the movie. It was such like a thing that you think is like, it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think of unless you take a step back and you're like, oh, this is a baby learning how to crawl and then walk and then run. That was such a great performance, and it's so subtle the way that he did it.
And it reminded me of Emma Stone in Poor Things, which is kind of a Frankenstein story in itself.
Great Frankenstein movie, I think.
Yeah, fantastic. Love that film. And she was a baby for a big chunk of that movie, where she was even more than this version. So, but that reminded me, like, oh wow, that's so cool that we have a different, like, the male perspective on this, and how it's so different, and how so into himself he was, and trying to figure out who he was, and what to say, and how his feelings can reflect in him just saying Victor. You know, he said Victor in so many different ways, and love, Victor! And solemn, and anger, like, in being scared, like, oh my God, where are you? Come save me. You know,
it's the first word that he learned. You know what I mean? And I think you make such a good point. Like, even the evolution of the creature saying the name Victor evolved over time as he became more intuitive with who he is as a person and how he wants to live in this world. And, you know, acting against David Bradley, this, you know, blind man who knows that there is this guardian angel living in their walls, helping this family and leaving food out for him and leaving clothes out for him. And and then slowly getting to meet each other in person, and teaching him how to read and how to write. And you really see in another way a stepfather and son relationship with it, which is also something that you don't get to see a lot in movies, is that, father figures can come from every which way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was more of a father to him than the person that created him.
Yeah.
And seeing just someone, all it takes is one person to show you humanity and to treat you like a real person, like an individual, not like a monster, and accept you for that. It changes your whole life. And that's who that was for Jacob Elordi's creature. And it really showed this like deep love for someone that saw him past the monster that he thought he was. And that was something really beautiful.
It's so funny because that sequence, that whole section of him finding that cabin, helping that family in the shadows, then eventually talking to the blind man and getting a relationship with him in a wholesome way, and learning. He taught him words and about the world and all this other stuff. It's the most wholesome aspect of the film because the film is so, I want to say chaotic, but drowned in chaos and trauma and things. So we stop at a point and we get into this wholesome moment, and the wholesome moment also leads to the most tragic moment in the film that I remember watching in the theater. And I'm so glad that you egged me on to watch it in the theater, because watching this on the TV wouldn't have been enough. I can hear my crowd go, "Oh no, 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 no," when the wolves attack. How tragic that was and how devastating that was, because it was just tragedy after tragedy for him, right?
He can't catch a break. Like,
He
even
can't catch a break.
the one moment of real love in his life taken away again. It's like he can't catch a break, and you feel so much for him in that moment. I also, I want to talk, because you mentioned, at that point where it's, because the flow of the movie is really well, where it's the perspective of Victor and then it's perspective of the creature and different narrators. I really love that moment. And they do have that, that softer moment of the creature's point of view and what he went through. That was really cool. But I really love Oscar Isaac's Dr. Frankenstein's trajectory, because it lined up perfectly with the flow of the movie. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, we see Dr. Frankenstein as this hopeful hero scientist trying to push the bounds of creation, and you really champion him, and you're like, yes, he's crazy, and he's pushing science forward in a way that others are too scared to, and you're following him through this journey. And then there's a point in the story, after the creature's created and after you see the relationship and how he's treating him, and how he's treating Mia Goth, that she's, just a piece of to own and take it from his brother. And you slowly start to see the evolution of Victor from the protagonist that you thought was going to be in this movie to the antagonist, that he is actually the monster of this story. And it was such a great way to tell the story of Dr. Frankenstein, really to show us that he is the true monster of the story, but it devolved over time from someone that you thought was like the hero that you could be proud of, to someone that was like disgusting and the true monster and the villain of the story. And to your point, it happened at the point where you realize, oh my gosh, he is the monster of the story.
Yeah.
And then the creature is like, let me tell you, my maker got to tell you his version. Let me tell you my story. So it was like, we got to the point where the positions change, where the creature is the hero and Dr. Frankenstein is the villain of the story. And now you get to hear it from the creature's point of view. And it was such a beautiful transition and like an aha moment. I thought Guillermo did that so beautifully.
And I want to say, to piggyback off that, in terms of like Guillermo's brilliance in here. A lesser filmmaker would have made it where the creatures is just retelling the same moments we just saw, but from his point of view, and it would have felt repetitive. But he just
Mhm.
continues the story from where Victor leaves off, which I thought was great. It didn't stop the momentum of the film. It just continued on, but with a new perspective. And in your head, the whole thing switches. So it does
Yeah.
so much at one time that makes the movie feel so quality.
I think you're right. I think it's just a master class all around in storytelling, especially because I honestly never felt a lull in the movie. I really thought because of the way that he told it from the different perspectives, and we talked a lot about that, with weapons, telling it from different perspectives to really carry the audience through and have those aha moments. That's exactly what Guillermo gave us with using and playing with the antagonists and protagonists of the story and really have the audience find out what is what while you're going through the journey. And I thought he did that in such a great way. Another way that I thought that Guillermo told the story of Dr. Frankenstein so well is in the set designs in the pieces that he used. As we can see from the picture here, I mean, his laboratory is another character in
Yeah.
itself. When we first see it, right, it is run down, it's a mess, and so they make it beautiful and they make it cohabitate with the stuff that he needs to create life, and it looks awesome, right? And Medusa's on the wall, and there's the symbolism of Medusa, this misunderstood monster that can't help but turn people into stone, even though they don't want to. It's an
Yeah.
effect that they have that they don't have control over. There's just all these beautiful like symbolism in the set designs that he used. And I just thought that was such another important piece of the movie itself as well.
That's pretty brilliant. I didn't even think of that. The whole because Medusa's usually portrayed as a bad guy through and through, but the real
Right.
history of it is that she's not. She's cursed. So that's really interesting to have that on the wall while you're making the creature, which is going to go through the same. As soon as you see it, it's not stone, but you get fear, and it's out of his control. He didn't asked to look like this. This is just how he was
Yeah.
made,
He
which can
didn't
be
have to
very
do that.
reflective of people with disabilities or different things where this is how they
100%.
were born and people act a certain way and it's not their fault. And I think that works really well with that metaphor.
I totally agree. And to be fair, I didn't recognize that while I was watching. I have watched a lot of deep dives with Guillermo, talking to Oscar, talking to
Mm,
Jacob. I've this movie really sticks with you when you're done because there's so many layers to the movie that I feel like it's one of those that you're going to discover something new or something that you didn't realize every time you rewatch it. And that's like one of the best movies when it continues to teach you and educate you on something that you didn't necessarily connect with the time before. And so I feel like this is going to be a movie that's talked about for a very long time. I want to ask you, based on, your feelings of the movie, the reception has been overwhelmingly positive. What do you think the legs are when it comes to Oscars and award season with this movie?
mm. Depending on how these couple Oscar movies play out, I think
Yeah.
that this will definitely get below the line nominations in terms of like production, score, cinematography,
Costumes.
editing, and things like that.
Okay.
And if it gets cinematography, then it has a big chance of getting Best Picture and Best Director. In terms of acting, it deserves a lead and a supporting acting nom for Oscar and Jacob. But it's just this year is filled with so many genre films that can get nominated.
I
It's going to
know.
be hard, right? Like Sinners is the front runner for genre movies to
Yeah.
get nominated, and the Oscars don't like nominating more than one. So
I know.
to see maybe three get nominated is a lot. Um,
That'd be
but
crazy.
it will be
Weapons,
so good.
Frankenstein, and
Right, and
Sinners. It's like
Sinners.
it's like a genre movie lovers fantasy,
And they're
to
also
finally be
different.
seen. All different.
All
Yes.
completely different films, all different kinds of performances. Like even like I'm thinking about I saw Predator Badlands that can get nominated for VFX and
Awesome.
maybe some other things when in the technical aspect. So it's another genre movie that possibly could get nominated as well. So I think that Frankenstein has a really good chance because Guillermo has won before. He
Yep.
is a darling of this. Netflix does a really good job of getting their movies nominated.
Yeah.
Great at campaigning.
'Cause they got the
So
money.
they got the money. The movie has some competition within Netflix, right? Like Train Dreams is a movie that's coming out in 2 weeks that they're
Yep.
pushing for best lead. They
Yeah.
have
They were gonna do
Make
House of Dynamite until the reviews came out.
yeah,
They're not gonna push that anymore.
it's a
No.
done one.
Which
That
was actually better for Frankenstein. They're like, okay,
yes,
well, since we're not gonna put money towards that, let's put it. Yeah.
and then depending on how Jay Kelly performs, that's the one with Adam Sandler and George Clooney a lot. That has a
Yeah.
lot of hype. That's also another Netflix film. If that does really well, then that's another competition. If it doesn't, then that's one less. So Netflix has to decide now what they're going to push because they're not going to get all their actors in. They're not going to get all their movies in. But I'm hoping Frankenstein is the one because I think that, like, look at this. Like, this is a work of art.
Incredible. When I tell people about it, I literally every time I say every scene could be its own best painting that you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
Like it is so beautiful. Every scene is like, I want that poster on my wall. And
Yeah.
it's just there's so many components that make a great movie, right? Like the acting, the way the story is told, the cinematography, the costumes, the sound, the set design, everything goes into it. And I feel like this Frankenstein movie checks off all those boxes. At least for me, I really feel like it does.
I agree. I think it checks all the boxes in terms of everything you need for such an epic story. We don't get a lot of fantasy films
Yeah.
lately. And I've been saying this in my head, like we need more fantasy. We need more swashbuckling. We need more films that feel big and epic but have heart and something to say. And this definitely leans into that. So hopefully this is a start of something that can let other directors have a chance. Like look what Guillermo did. Let me maybe not get the same amount of budget, but let me get 80
Right.
million and try to do something,
100%.
And also the fact that they only gave this a week or 2 weeks was a mistake because we're going to talk about October, but October was so weak in the box office. If they would have gave this a full rollout, this movie could have made a lot of money.
Yeah, I would have seen it on Halloween. I think that would have been
there was
great.
nothing on Halloween. That's insane.
And we're gonna get to that. We definitely are gonna get to that soon because that is very telling of where we are in the theaters. And this bad boy, it was made for 120 million. So honestly, with how beautiful it looks, that's not a lot. I don't think. I think that's actually a pretty good, not overblown budget for how good this movie looks. So
And the scope.
hopefully they take some lessons from that. And and there's a lot more we can talk about. I mean, Mia Goth, I think she classes up the joint. She played 2 roles. She played Dr. Frankenstein's mother. Did you know that?
That was her?
That was her. And also the love interest. So she can transform. I know some people like she bothered them a little bit. I saw some friends talking about it. Yeah, they were just like, yeah, her performance was like kind of like whiny and annoying. I didn't see that. Yeah, I did not see that, but I think you guys should go see this movie and judge for yourself because it is an extremely poignant movie that will hit you in the right place and resonate with a lot of people who have a lot of different relationships that they can see relate into this movie, whether it's with your parents, your loved ones, whatever it is. I really feel like there's something for everyone in this movie. So if you haven't seen it, go to your couch to Netflix, put it on, and drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Did you enjoy the movie? Maybe there's some things that you thought they could have done better. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Before you move on, I just want to say one thing. I was thinking of this when you were talking about the film and the structure of it.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be so cool and brilliant if we got a Joker or Batman film in the structure of this film? We see Joker kind of growing as Joe Chill. We don't know that. Well, comic book fans would, but the general audience wouldn't know that Joe Chill turns to Joker. We're going through the movie with him. Everybody's like, why are we following this guy? And then he falls in the vat of acid, and that's the first time we see Batman. And then the perspectives of the movie changes. And we get emotionally attached to this mysterious Joe Chill character that Batman mistakenly put in a vat of acid. He becomes this evil thing, and then we get Batman's perspective, and the story moves over. I think that would be brilliant if someone could pull that off.
That's brilliant, and it shows how closely tied they are together. That one can't exist without the other. And you just made me actually realize Guillermo del Toro would make an epic Batman movie. He would make a sick Batman movie.
Get out of here.
His Gotham. Sorry, Andy. Another Latino should take the director's chair, because his Gotham, the creatures in it, the DCU creatures that he could mess with.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. So that is that. We can wax poetic. Let us know what you think. Also, let us know, how would you like a Guillermo del Toro Batman movie? I think that would be incredible. Drop a comment below.
Oscar Isaac, Bruce Wayne.
You guys think. Man, it's right there. It's right there. Or Oscar Isaac as Two-Face. Oh man.
Yeah, he would.
Oh,
Oscar Isaac is anything.
Yeah. You name it. Dr. Free, like anything. Okay, guys. With that down, I wanted to get into this. So, for the longest time, musical biopics have run the gambit when it comes to success in the theaters, whether it's Get On Up or Bohemian Rhapsody, which won the lead and Oscar, to the, Bruce Springsteen one that a lot of people didn't get to the theaters to see. Love him or hate him, it has become a mainstay in cinema that musical biopics make people gravitate towards them, that it reminds them of this artist. But we haven't got arguably the biggest musical artist of all time until now. This past week, we saw Lionsgate drop their first teaser for the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael. And it is now being reported that this Bad Boy trailer is the most watched music biopic trailer in history. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter. They say Michael's already leaving an impact on viewers. Lionsgate released the first official teaser trailer for the forthcoming Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, this past Thursday. And after its initial 24 hours, the views racked up to 116.2 million globally, making it the most viewed trailer for any music biopic in history, now holding the title for Lionsgate as the studio's largest trailer debut ever. Jafar Jackson, a nephew of the late Michael Jackson, stars as the King of Pop. In the first footage, Jafar is seen recreating the musician's iconic dance moves, such as the moonwalk, and it also teases a clip of the Thriller music video. The trailer will play in theaters starting next week. Additional cast members include Miles Teller as the attorney, John Bronca, Coleman Domingo, who I love, as Joe Jackson, Kat Graham as Diana Ross, Nia Long as Katherine Jackson, among Kendrick Sampson as Quincy Jones, who in the trailer sounded and looked fantastic. Here's the official synopsis for the movie. The film tells the story of Michael Jackson's life beyond the music, tracing his journey from the discovery of his extraordinary talent as the lead of the Jackson 5 to the visionary artist whose creative ambition fueled a relentless pursuit to become the biggest entertainer in the world. highlighting both his life offstage and some of the most iconic performances from his early solo career. The film gives audiences a front row seat to Michael Jackson as never before. This is where his story begins. That is very telling. Michael Jackson is set to hit theaters April 24th, 2026, and is directed by the fantastic Antoine Fuqua and features a script by John Logan. It's interesting how they said at the end, this is where the story begins. As it was being reported earlier, the movie had to actually change a few things because apparently this bad boy is going to be split in two. The latter half, the back half, if you will cover more of the controversial moments in Michael Jackson's life, which seems that they are not going to shy away, and that this initial movie, Michael, will cover just the beginnings up to and through Thriller, I believe, when he became the biggest pop star in the world. I want to ask you, based on the trailer and the synopsis, what do you think of our first look of Michael, and how well do you think this bad boy is going to do in theaters based on the overwhelmingly positive views that the trailer got?
Yeah, I'm thinking about this in terms of like personal and kind of like business wise. Personally, I'm underwhelmed by everything. I'm not gonna lie. I saw the trailer and I felt like there was no flair to it. Right? It just looks like the trailers for
like a VH1 biopic movie.
Maybe not that.
Remember those? I love
but
the
structure of
one.
it. The structure of it is like a VH1 biopic trailer, but the look, I wouldn't say it looks like a theatrical movie,
right?
But it feels like a complete unknown. It feels like the Bruce Springsteen movie. It feels like we're just getting another one of those with no flair to it. Like, and I think the problem is that I saw A Better Man, which is a musical biopic that came out early in the year, in like January, February, and that movie's fantastic. It has all the flair in the world. This just feels like another musical biopic. The only thing I'm interested in is Michael Jackson's one of my favorite artists of all time, so I gotta go see it. But the business mindset of it is like Michael Jackson is one of the biggest artists of all time,
right?
So, and everyone knows his story. And if you don't know his story, you've heard parts of it, or your family members are going to drag you to go see it. It's going to do well. It's going to do really, really well, especially if it reviews well, right? I think if it reviews well, even if it doesn't review well, I think that initial weekend is going to be huge. I think the fact that his nephew is the one that's playing him is going to draw a lot of interest. Because
sounded great, by the way.
Sounded great.
Looked like him.
I'm not great on the prosthetics on his face. I don't know. It looks kind of weird. But I think he sounds great. He's doing the moves. When they showed him as the zombie in Thriller, I was like, oh, that's perfect. So I think box office wise, I think this is gonna do really. That's perfect. It looks straight out of the music video.
My timing was off. I should have right when you said it.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. It needs to hit. But looking at who's behind this, when it comes to Antoine Fuqua, who is an incredible, sometimes underrated, that people don't put his name out there as doing it at a very high level, director wise. And then when you look at John Logan, who he's come out with some pretty good stuff. I mean, Skyfall is fantastic. He did Hugo. Obviously, he stayed in the James Bond game with Spectre, which left a little bit to be desired. But I really like Rango with Johnny Depp, that animated movie. Sweeney Todd, The Aviator, The Last Samurai, Gladiator, Any Given Sunday. He's had some bangers. So I would say that they do have a very seasoned writer behind it, which bodes well. And then on top of that, Coleman Domingo, bro. No, I'm just kidding. I love Coleman Domingo. Who knows how big his role will be, but it seems like we are getting a deep dive into the Jackson 5 and really following his journey from Jackson 5 stardom to becoming a solo artist in that transition period and the pressure from his father and the stuff that we know about that. So it seems like, and if you're smart, you're going to give Coleman Domingo those scenes and those lines because he's the person that really can like make it a powerhouse performance. And so I hope that's what they do, but he has a lot of people around him that really can make this movie shine. But you better believe everything relies on Shafar Jackson's shoulders. He needs to carry this movie. He is Michael. He needs to embody Michael, and it is up to him whether this movie succeeds or fails, I really think. And if it does, just like when it comes to Austin Butler and Elvis, this is a make or break role. And it could really solidify you as an actor that people are going to take seriously, or it could go the complete opposite way. So only time will tell, but it's a big gamble on an actor in Shafar who hasn't ever acted in this big of a capacity before. It is a big gamble, and it seems like they're going all in, because not only is it going to be this movie, but you best believe they are going to put part 2 quickly into production once they know that people are liking this bad boy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they're already starting to plan that out now, just based on the response from the trailer. It shows that there's deep interest, and for you to do half of his life story, people are going to be left like, really? Where's the rest of this stuff? Like, what are we doing? So I feel like they have to like go in there and do the rest of it.
No, I totally agree. So I think it has all the makings, but you need to use those to follow through. So only time will tell. But as we can see right now, people have a hunger to see this Michael movie. It is the most watched musical biopic trailer in history in 24 hours. And there's been a lot of good ones, whether it's Bohemian Rhapsody, which took the world by storm, almost made $1 billion and was an Oscar winner, Best Picture, and the lead actor. That is a big thing to follow up. But as you can see, if done right, people will go see that bad boy. I think that was pre-pandemic, so obviously things can be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, if it's there, if the stuff is there and this movie has it, this is going to be easily $1 billion film, in my opinion.
I think if the next trailer or clips we see makes the movie stand out in a way that feels different from all of the biopics that we've got in the last year or 2 or 3 years, I think that will get everybody that might be like, right on board.
100%. You see a scene between Coleman and Shafar and something just like, whoa, this is going to win an Oscar. It needs to be something powerful, just a little bit of it. But if it does, you best believe this bad boy is going to make all the monies in theaters. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But you best believe that the second one will cover and not shy away from a lot of the controversy surrounding this bigger than life pop star. So there's a lot more in store for Michael on the big screen. And I, for one, can't wait to see what we get. So drop a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. Did you check out the trailer? Did it do it for you? Are you excited for the movie? Or maybe it left you for more to be desired? Drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think. All right, guys. Now that we're done with that, I wanted to get into this. So we are in the final stretch of 2025. We are almost there to the finish line, and it's time to start looking ahead at the big movies that are coming out, because we got Spider-Man, we got Supergirl, we got a bunch of stuff in theaters, and we're going to play a little game to the surprise of my boy Zach called Box Office Brawl.
Ooh.
This is Box Office Brawl.
Let them fight.
I love that.
We are going to put on the screen 2 blockbuster movies coming out in 2026, and we are going to have to decide which one we think will make more at the box office. Are you ready, my friend?
I'm ready. I love
Start
box
your
office talk.
engines. No. For the first one up, I already put in the description, so let's start with this. This is a hard one. Animated films have been crushing it recently, and now it's time for the sequels to do the same thing. We got Toy Story 5 versus Super Mario Galaxy movie. Woohoo! This is hard because, as we know, Mario is a billion-dollar film and took the world by storm. And then on top of that, Toy Story is arguably the most beloved animated franchise in history, with Toy Story 4 making $1 billion as well. Ooh.
Which is crazy because a lot of people were like, on that one, and it still made a Billy.
The thing is with Toy Story, every time they announce a new one's out, people are like, but why? We already got the greatest one before. Like, this is going to be, oh, wait. Oh, this is great. Wait, no, this actually adds to the texture of the franchise. What was I talking about? And it just clicks right when the movie comes out.
Every
So
time.
it's easy to count it out because there's always time between, Toy Story 4 came out in 2019. I think this will be the fastest that a sequel has come out, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a long time.
Yeah. So Toy Story 5 versus Mario Galaxy, which will be the biggest box office?
So I do think both of them will make $1 billion.
Same.
For sure. Which one is going to make more money? I feel like at that point, it's going to be counting nickels and pennies.
Yeah, it's going to be inches. It's going to be inches. It's not going to be miles.
What's the release dates? I think that will help me.
No, that's a good question. So Toy Story 5 comes out. Let's see. Toy Story, what the heck?
So Toy Story 5 has a June 19th release date. That's in the middle of the summer. That's great.
That's a big one, yeah. And then Mario Galaxy has a April, which is also
that's pretty early on.
Yeah. So they're trying to get in on the ground floor.
Hold on. Let me Google something. April 2026 movies. Because April usually
You're looking at competition? Okay.
Yeah, like what's coming out? The Mummy.
The Mummy 4?
Yeah.
Oh no. Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Okay.
Yeah, Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Sorry. Ready or Not 2.
Ready or Not.
I like the first one, but that's not a box office challenge.
No.
Devil Wears Prada. What? I'm not that one,
You'd
but
be surprised.
No, it definitely could make money. I don't think it's gonna make.
But does the same fan base that are going to Devils Wear Prada, are they also going to be going to Mario?
I don't think
right.
So. No.
I don't think so. Right.
So I think
it doesn't seem like a lot of competition.
April is a slow month usually.
Yep.
It's also not as of right now. Obviously, anything can get announced and moved around. The next thing it has competition. As of right now, there's no competition for this movie. I'm 100% sure June is going to be stacked because they do that every year. I feel like Mario will make maybe $100 million or a couple $1 million more than Toy Story 5. Just the fact that it has more of a opening.
Do you guys hear this? Master of movies doing the math, seeing what's coming out, really trickling it down to find the answer. That is a master of ceremonies, bro. That's how you do it. And no, you convinced me too. I really think because of the placement of Mario Galaxy being in April, bodes better for it than Toy Story 5 being in June. I believe both of them will make $1 billion, which I can't believe we're just throwing that out there so nonchalant. But I do think Mario edges out Toy Story 5 a little bit. I agree. All right. Next one. And let us know your guys' thoughts as we go through this. Drop a comment. Let us know, what you guys think. We could be far off. Who knows? Only time will tell. All right, next one. Ooh, this is a good one. All right, you ready for this? Live action Moana versus Spider-Man Brand New Day. Moana. And for anyone that is questioning us.
Yeah.
Oh, dang. I hope my wife doesn't watch this. I just won a Thanos figure. I did not think he was going to accept that low of an offer. You like it?
Oh, that's dope.
It's dope, right?
Yeah.
So
Comic Thanos.
Don't get it twisted. Moana is a billions of dollars franchise. People love those movies. On top of that, if we look at Moana 2, which came out, 2024, not too long ago, the reviews were okay. I heard the songs weren't as strong because Lin-Manuel was not on the project this time around. With all that being said, $1 billion, $1.059 billion. So count it out.
And the kiddos loved it.
The kiddos.
When I went to go see it in theaters, there was tons of kids in there, and they were going crazy.
And I love Moana 1. I think Moana 1 is fantastic. However, if we take a look at Disney live action remakes of classic animated movies, they don't always necessarily do well. Some do great, like Aladdin. Some do not as good, like The Little Mermaid or Cinderella. Or they do pretty decent, like Beauty and the Beast. So it can be hit or miss depending on when the movie comes out, the competition, who are the actors. As we've seen, The Rock isn't the box office Viagra that he used to be. So it's a little hard. But this is Moana, and kids love this movie. Let's talk a little bit about Spider-Man. Since it turned 2025 in the beginning of January, it has been non-stop Spider-Man talk, from the amazingly clear photos of the sets for some reason to the people that they're announcing that are going to be in it, whether it's the Hulk or the Punisher or
Yelena.
Guessing what? Yeah.
Yelena.
Yeah. Yelena is going to be in it, to guessing who Sadie Sink's character is going to be, and, having the internet, buzz about that. It has been a nonstop, constant talk of Spider-Man Brand New Day, arguably more than Doomsday in a lot of ways. This bad boy has heat. And for that reason, I am going to go with Spider-Man Brand New Day as the bigger box office over live action Moana.
And they're going to be direct competition. They are coming out the same month.
That's why I put them together. Good job, Evan.
So I do, even though they're like one's at the beginning of the month, one's at the end of the month, they will run into each other. And I think the long-term effects of Spider-Man coming out at the end will affect the total numbers for Moana. It will drop harder because more people are going to start switching over to Spider-Man. Because the people who go see Moana live action will go see Spider-Man. The people who don't go see Moana live action will go see Spider-Man. So I think that it has just an opportunity to make a bigger splash, because both the franchises are on a downturn in terms of like live action. Remakes on a downturn in box office wise.
Right.
MCU's downturn is on a downturn, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's Spider-Man.
It's Spider-Man.
So it will win out because it's Spider-Man. Even when Spider-Man is not in part of the MCU, it makes money.
And
so,
you know who wins out of all this? Disney.
Oh, well, yeah. I was gonna say me, but because I'm getting both. But yeah,
definitely
Disney does win both because both their
Disney's
movies.
pockets. No, those are going to be bangers for them. So we're both going with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yep.
Perfect. All right. Now with that down, I'll save this for last. All right. Another rock movie, if you will. This is Dune 3 versus Jumanji 4. Which will have the bigger box office? Let me take a look.
I'm surprised you didn't put Dune versus Doomsday because they're coming out the same day.
I know, but it's Doomsday is gonna crush.
It's Doomsday.
I think this is. I think
They
this
need
is
to
a.
move Dune.
I thought this was a little bit harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the last one for Jumanji, it did come out in 2019, and it won. Not won. It made. It made 800 million, which is very good. We're talking about Guardian 3 numbers almost. Like that's very good for a franchise that people have grown to love.
Yeah.
And then Dune 2, and keep in mind, Dunes have never been the biggest box office moneymakers, right? But Dune 2, 714 million. So both are very close to each other in the sense of the draw that they get in the box office. And then if we take a look at Dune 3, I am so excited, by the way.
Me too.
When we take a look at Dune 3, December 18th, which is great. And then we look at Jumanji 4, December 11th.
Ooh.
Same month.
A week apart.
A week apart.
Wait, hold up. So is Doomsday coming out a week after Jumanji 4?
Something's got to move, huh?
Yeah. No way.
Keep in mind, this is just right now what they are
projecting,
scheduled for.
Yeah.
Things could always move. There's a lot of competition.
That's too much.
Too much. December, man, it's like we're getting Christmas gifts every weekend in the form of an epic movie. So
yeah,
that is something to look forward to if it stays. But right now, we got 2 movies coming out around the same time. We got the last movies both making $700 or more million in the theaters. They've both made more actually than their previous movies, right? So the audiences are growing. At the end of the day, which do you think will have the bigger box office?
This hurts me to say because I'm a huge Dune fan, but I have to go with Jumanji 4. Off the sole reason is the fact that people just love these films. It's all families. They could bring their kids. You're not really bringing kids to Dune.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Dune Messiah, which this third movie is being based off, is a
Yeah.
very controversial book.
Yeah,
So
people do not like it. I know a lot that think it's very convoluted.
yeah. And people said the original book was convoluted, and Denis figured out how to strip it away to make it simple for us.
No, definitely. But Messiah is bonkers. Like
even more bonkers.
Yes.
So I think it will open big because of the excitement and people loving Dune 2 and blah 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 blah. But I think once they see the movie and all the weirdness and all the craziness starts happening, I think the following weekends will be big drops because those initial, let's say, casual viewers who are just excited to go because it's a party, Dune's an event, won't go and watch it over and over again. But Jumanji 4 is going to have kids wanting to see that over and over and over again. So I think it will have better holds than Dune does.
No, I totally agree. I think you're right. I think Dune 3 will do better than the last one because people love the last one in it.
Yeah.
And it was critically and audience loved and arguably better than the first movie. Actually by numbers better than the first, but in my opinion, I think Dune 2 is probably up there as one of the best modern day sci-fi movies of all time.
Yeah, easily. I watched it and I went on my letterbox and I slid it right into one of my favorite movies of all time list. I was like, "Yep,
Yep,
this
you
is
go
at the
right
bottom, and then on rewatch you'll climb."
there. I love that. So, but I do agree with you. I think kids, especially during the holidays, make the box office more robust. And I don't know if Jumanji will make more than the last one did, because things have shifted a little bit with theater going since the last one came out, and also with the draw that The Rock has now in the theater has shifted as well. So, but oh man, I don't know. As I'm saying
One
it
thing
out
I'll say that we're
loud,
not talking about is box office momentum. I've been talking about this when I
that's
used to do my
true.
box office show. If the leading months or leading weeks into these 2 week movies are coming in like we get banger after banger,
Yeah,
they definitely will do well, because then people are like, when someone sees a good movie and it does well, they're gonna like, I want to go see another one. What's coming out?
that's
And
true.
then it will lead into the next, lead into the next. So
It makes
if
you want to
we get
jump
a
back.
bunch of stinkers leading into these movies coming out, I can see them opening high and then dropping lower because we won't have as many people going to watch them right away.
I could see Dune 3 getting pulled back into November.
That's not a bad month.
I don't think it's a bad month. I think the last one came out right in November. I'm pretty sure. It was like a
Dune 2,
November. Yeah.
I feel like it came out earlier in the year.
Let me see. Oh, my bad. Dummy.
Yeah.
March 1st.
Yeah.
So I could see it moving back, and that would bode well, I think, for it.
Yeah.
But right now, I think Jumanji edges it out.
I think it's definitely Jumanji 4. Dune probably should
I
move to
think we'll be
August.
surprised how much love people still have for Jumanji. The last 2 I enjoyed, honestly.
And then you got Jack Black and Kevin Hart. Like, it will offset the whatever negative The Rock has. Those are 2 of his best collaborators.
Momentum in the theaters recently. Yeah. He is absolutely crushing it.
Especially if Anaconda does well, like.
Yeah, I love Jack Black. So, all right, the last one we're going to do. Are you ready for this bad boy? Disney versus Warner Brothers.
Ooh.
The Mandalorian and Grogu versus Supergirl. Which will have the bigger box office?
Ooh.
Right?
This is probably the most complicated one. There's so many factors.
I know.
That lead into it, right?
So we got June 26th for Supergirl and May 22nd for the Mandalorian and Grogu.
So Mandalorian is going to be starting off the summer season, which is our make or break moment for summer movies, right? Mm-hmm. Like a lot of times when you're the first one out, people it tells how people are feeling to go see movies during the summer. So let's start with Mandalorian and Grogu. This one's tough because it's going to be the first Star Wars movie we've had in like 7-8 years or something like that in theaters. So people are going to be excited to get a Star Wars film in theaters, not a show. But on the other hand, it's a movie based on a show that maybe a lot of people haven't seen. Like The Mandalorian has, unlike a lot of other shows that are within the things that we love, has charted on Nielsen. It is a big show, but I still feel like a lot of people who can make this movie like a box office hit still hasn't seen it. So they'll go in feeling like, who are these people? I don't know what's going on. Who's this Yoda character? Baby Yoda? What? So I can see that a little bit in terms of just movie. And the trailer for it felt like just another trailer for a season.
Yeah.
It didn't feel as big as I thought it was going to feel.
Yeah. It's like just because you have like AT-AT like falling down a mountain, like that's not going to do it for us. Like we want like serious movie storytelling, not
even just storytelling. The look. Like it didn't look like Rogue One. It didn't look even
color
like
grading. The color grading, it was.
It looks like the TV show.
Right.
Supergirl is such an unknown because we've never seen Millie Alcock in a situation like this, right? Like we've seen her in House of Dragon. She's done some
Yeah.
smaller stuff.
Little similar coming from
Huh?
TV, right?
Yeah,
Actress,
coming from TV.
right?
She was in Superman, so that helps because his character's not coming from TV
Yeah.
shows. People who saw Superman.
Not even a man. No, I had to do
That will be a factor. The anti-electroism, anti-woke guys are going to come after Supergirl. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, they've been all in our comments of our clips on when we talk about James Gunn. They're really
gonna be in there.
how they feel, and a lot of those are the Snyder boys, but some people just aren't on board with DC right now. It didn't do it for them like it did for us, and that's totally okay. But what does that mean for the next DC movie in theaters?
Non-James Gunn DC movie in theaters.
I've also had people online tell me, "Oh, Supergirl's going to make more than Spider-Man." I'm like, where are you getting this data?
There's a possibility. It always could happen out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, like it could happen. You never know, but no, it's not.
No, it's not. If it matches Superman, that's a win. I've been reading Supergirl Women of Tomorrow, which this is based off of.
I hear it's fantastic.
It reads like someone that wanted their comic book to be adapted into a movie. Nice. Like they were like, I'm going to make this so it feels like a script. Okay. So, and the way it looks, the characters, it has that Last of Us feeling, right? Like Supergirl's Joel, the little girl she's helping around is Ellie, and they're going on this revenge tour and across the galaxy.
Okay.
It's going to be like this big, epic, swashbuckling, colorful Guardian situation, right? But where it's just kind of two characters together, going like kind of like Predator Badlands in a little way, where it was a kind of a straight character
like a buddy cop.
Yeah, buddy cop situation. So I think that could work out really, really well in terms of the way it looks going to look. If it matches the colors and the texture of the comic, if they go for that, it's going to make it stand out amongst like Mandalorian, which looks so dry and TV like, and like that has that Apple TV sheen that I like to call it. Like Apple TV, all of their shows kind of have this sheen that no matter who does anything, it looks the same. Mandalorian Grogu has that. So I think Supergirl has the opportunity to be bigger than Mandalorian Grogu only because it's fresh. The source material makes it have a bigger scope than Mandalorian Grogu probably is going to have. And I feel like it's going to be more fun.
I totally agree. You took the words out of my mouth. I just, when I see Supergirl and, even from her representation at the end of Superman to what I've been hearing in the comics, to the story, to Craig Gillespie, who is a great director, who did, great stuff with Cruella and I, Tonya and, Pam and Tommy on TV. This guy he's bonkers. He loves that kind of stuff. And I just feel it has all the makings of just a fun Supergirl heroic adventure space movie. And I think because it's fresh and it's new, it's more appealing to people. Because on the other side, I feel like people are going to say, well, either I didn't watch Mandalorian or Mandalorian kind of fell off. Like, I'm not like so stoked to see something else when season 3 was kind of ass, and then you didn't give us anything since then. And now you're like, but wait, it's in a movie, so it's gonna be good. It's like, is that enough to get someone who was kind of over it back on it? I don't think so. And so in those regards, I think Supergirl will do better in the theaters than Mandalorian Grogu.
Yeah. And we could totally be wrong, right? Like,
anything could happen.
I think the whole fact that this is the first Star Wars movies in theaters in a long time, it could either mean nothing or it could be a huge factor that makes people run to go see this.
Or it could be Solo. Yeah.
So
yeah. Only time will tell. But that will do it for
Let them fight.
Let us know what you guys think. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Is there other movies that you think we should compare to see which one will have the bigger box office? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, I wanted to get into this. So, Zach, you actually mentioned this a little bit earlier on the show that, we haven't gotten in such a long time, like a fun, swashbuckling adventure kind of movie. And when people try and emulate, say Raiders of the Lost Ark, whether it's, Laura Croft or that one Guy Ritchie did with John Krasinski and Natalie Portman, they kind of don't have that something that Raiders did or that those adventure archaeological type movies had back when we were kids. And I think something that got close to those Indiana Jones movies that don't get talked about a lot is Brendan Fraser's The Mummy. Well, it looks like we're going to get The Mummy 4, as it is being reported that Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser are back in the game for another Mummy movie. This comes to us from Variety. They say Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz are reuniting for another Mummy adventure. Filmmakers Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette, also known as Radio Silence, are set to direct the fourth installment in the decades-old action franchise. Radio Silence is best known for 2019's Ready or Not and reviving the Scream franchise for Paramount in 2022. Universal, the studio behind the original monster movies, have no comment and are leaving things very close to the vest. As we know, after stepping away from Hollywood due to personal issues and health problems and assault allegations, Fraser enjoyed a major career comeback with 2022's The Well, for which he earned his first Oscar for Best Actor. During the press cycle for The Well, Fraser told Variety that he'd be open to revisiting his most popular role, adventurer Rick O'Connell, in another Mummy sequel. He said, "I don't know how it could work, but I'd be open to it if someone came up with the right conceit. It's hard to make that movie. The ingredient that we had going for our Mummy, which I didn't see in the new one, was fun. That was what was lacking in that incarnation. Mm-hmm. It was too much of a straight ahead horror movie. The Mummy should be a thrill ride, but not terrifying or scary. It should be fun. It looks like we're going to get that fun, thrilling ride because we are getting The Mummy 4. I want to ask you, what do you think about this news? What do you think about Radio Silence being the team behind it, who clearly have an idea that made these two actors on board for? And what do you think about this movie doing well in the theaters? Are people still going to be hungry for a Mummy movie after many disappointing ones that we've seen thus far?
Sequels after a long break are hit or miss, right? Like sometimes it's Top Gun Maverick, sometimes it's not, right? It's whatever other failed long sequels that we've had in a long time. I think bringing back Rachel Weisz, who looks fantastic still, and Brendan Fraser, who people love, is a good choice. I do think that Brendan Fraser being a beefcake was a big part of the success of that franchise. Him looking like a hunk and everything. So it'll be very interesting to see how he portrays himself in the movie, because lately he's been portraying himself more like an older man that's settled into who he is and not trying to prove his sexiness to anyone. So if they go with that, I'll be interested to see how people feel about that. But I do think they're right. It should not be a straight up horror movie. It should, or a traditional horror movie. It should be a fun action adventure horror film where it is creepy, it is scary, but it's more fun. Like we're on a thrill ride, and there are jump scares and things like that. But it doesn't lead to like ultimate terror. It leads to your characters running away or doing something funny and goofy and getting out of the situation and having a lot of heart. So if they can, anyone can do that. It's Radio Silence. I think Radio Silence is the perfect pick because they know how to make horror movies that are fun. So, and they know how to bring the best out of movie star like actors. Every single time I see them direct someone that has the movie star quality, they know how to bring it out of them. So yeah, I think this is a perfect choice to do this movie. I think bringing those two back, it makes sense. And if they could bring a bunch of newcomers in as well that are notable, I think that this movie will do really, really well.
I totally agree. I think, they, for The Mummy 4, Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser would not come back unless it was a story worth telling. And I think Radio Silence has this great balance in their directing where they can have the suspense and have the scares, but also have like the laugh out loud moments and the weird moments and put it all together and make it something that grabs you and keeps you entertained throughout the entire movie. And when you say now Radio Silence in The Mummy, you're like, that's perfect. I did not even think about that.
Yeah,
What a great combination. And so I really think, first off, I just got to say, The Mummy to me when I was a kid was awesome. Yeah. I was a big, like I said, Raiders, Indiana Jones. Like I loved those type of movies. And as a kid, I was like, where are the other ones? Because it seems like no one can really do it right. And so when The Mummy came out, when I was like 10 years old, I was like, this is so fun and funny and scary and awesome and adventurous. There's a part that always sticks with me where in this scene, when the mummy, has the terrifying opening of the mouth, growl, yell at them, and Brendan Fraser's like, and shoots him back with the shotgun. I'm like, that's hilarious. That's great. And it seems like these mummy movies have always struck that balance of being a little bit weird, a little bit terrifying in some regards, but also playful and fun and adventurous. And it had all the rumblings that make those movies really stand out. And what really made it stand out was Brendan Fraser. It really made him a star because he was outgoing, gregarious, funny, sexy to a lot of people. And he was really like the Star-Lord of that movie at that time.
Good comp.
You know what I mean? And so I think Brendan has a lot to do into getting in shape for this role because he is older. And as we get older, we fill out, and it's no knock on anyone, but he has a lot of work to do. And so I think he is finding this as another great challenge for him, right? Yeah. Because he already got the Oscar. He already proved he can do that. But can he get back into the kind of shape that it takes to lead an action adventure movie? And I think that's what excites Brendan Fraser about getting back into the mummy form. And so I really think that is a driving force. And I can't wait to see what he does, because if nothing, Brendan Fraser is an actor that commits to the role. Yeah. And you best believe he's going to commit to being Rick O'Connell again. And I cannot wait to see him in it.
And I think we will take it over the top. And I don't think this is going to happen. But if they did pull this off, if they get The Rock to come back as the Scorpion King somehow, this new vulnerable, trying to prove himself Rock, where he's not going to suck the air out of the room and try to overpower Brendan Fraser, kind of compliment him. I think that would take this movie over the top. Rachel Weisz, Brendan Fraser, Dwayne Johnson, you just pull off those names in a mummy movie, something that they all can just like have fun and play in.
Yeah.
I think that would work because I think Rock's stock is back because of the Smashing Machine and him working with like smaller directors. I think his stock is going to slowly get back up. By the time this movie comes out, he'll have Moana, he'll have Jumanji, he'll have another film. I think it would be perfect.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think what would be really cool is don't have The Rock as the main bad. Have him as the adventure that they're already in when the movie starts. Don't say that he's in it until obviously we see The Rock on the red carpet and people start speculating and you get people talking that way. And then you're like, oh my God, he's in it. Like when the movie starts and then he gets killed off or something, that adventure is ended, right? That was actually the beginning of the movie, but here's the real big bad, right? And so that would be such a fun way to play with the audience, pay homage to what started The Rock's career with the Scorpion King and that stuff. And that would be a really great send-off. But then also not have it as the main villain, but there's something bigger that's coming as the threat. And also you get to jump right into the action right away when the movie starts with something familiar as The Rock, as the Scorpion King villain. That would be really a great way to do it.
That's too perfect. Like, that's so perfect. I'm going to be disappointed when I don't see it.
I know. But only time will tell. So let us know what you guys think. Are you excited for The Mummy 4? Are you excited to see Brendan Fraser and the extraordinarily beautiful Rachel Weisz? Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Speaking of action, adventure, and movies in the theaters, unfortunately, there has not been a lot of action when it comes to movies in the theater in October. And it is now being reported that this October is the lowest October box office revenue in the last 28 years, of course, excluding the pandemic. This sadly comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter. They say Halloween, unfortunately, shaped up to be scarier than expected for Hollywood and its exhibition partners, and not in the good way. Domestic box office revenue for October 2025 is now coming in at roughly $425 million, which is the worst showing in the last 28 years, according to ComScore. This, of course, excludes October 2020, the heart of the COVID-19 pandemic, when revenue was a mere $55 million, powered by Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Otherwise, the last time October was this low was 1997, when combined ticket sales were 385.2 million, not adjusted for inflation. In 1998, revenue jumped to 455.6 million before crossing 600 million for the first time a year later in 1999, which I bet The Mummy helped with that. Not sure, but possibly. The new millennium brought steady gains, save for a few bumps in the road before the pandemic hit. But, programming October, aside from Halloween-themed releases, was historically a chance for studios and indie distributors to take breathers following the summer blockbuster season and to prepare for the year-end holidays. It's also when they begin to launch their award films. But as the calendar grew more crowded around the year-end holidays, studios started relying on off-peak months and began opening higher-profile films in October. This culminated with a record $832.8 million showing in 2018, with Sony's Venom grossing $190 million in October alone, and followed by awards contender A Star Is Born, which was $153.1 million, and the hit reboot of Halloween, which was $137.9 million.
Wow.
So what went so wrong this time? It was a perfect storm of not enough product due to the ongoing production delays, left over from the labor strikes, a horrible August, and a relatively weak September, which is often a carryover titles account for a large chunk of October revenue. The harder truth to bear, many October titles simply didn't resonate with general audiences. Disney's long-awaited Tron Ares is the month's top earner, but has only brought in $63.4 million domestically to date. Woo! Excluding 2020's the lowest showing of the top film launching October since DreamWorks' The Wallace and Gromit movie 2 decades ago in 2025. Another major miss was Dwayne Johnson's The Smashing Machine, which was, directed by Benny Safdie and A24's R-rated drama. Yet it only earned a scant 11.4 since its domestic debut over the October 5 to 7 weekend. Ugh, brother, ugh. If it weren't for the official release of Party of a Showgirl, Taylor Swift's 11th hour theatrical event tied to the release of her new album, things would be even worse. Billed as a cinematic experience versus a film, it brought in $34.2 million over the October 3rd to 5 weekend, crushing The Smashing Machine. Japanese anime offerings as Chainsaw Man, the movie, dropped in the October 24-25 weekend, was well ahead of expectations, topping with $18 million. In September's Demon Slayer Infinity War were also unexpected heroes. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save October. And yes, Black Phone 2 was a hit, but it wasn't enough. I know you're going to mention some things that were moved as well. So why don't you take it away? I want to ask you, why do you think this October was so bad and the worst in the last 28 years besides the pandy?
It's really confusing that October is the spooky month. We get all the Halloween stuff. Halloween is in the month, but Hollywood just refuses to release the biggest scary movies during the month. It refuses. You know how many times I'm known as the movie guy at my job, and you know how many times my customers ask me, "Hey, I want to go watch a scary movie in theaters. What can I watch?" And I have to rack my brain on what to tell them to watch every year because they refuse to drop spooky movies during the spooky month. It's like they just don't understand, right?
Yeah.
Only Black Phone 2, which the first Black Phone did really, really well for its budget, but it wasn't like a huge runaway. And then the second one was so different that it's not doing as well as the first one. They had The Conjuring should have dropped this month. This is when The Conjuring should have came out. Even though Conjuring did amazing in the release date, it did come out. But
Frankenstein should have a wide release.
Frankenstein should have had a wide release. It would have did really well if you had Jacob Elordi, Oscar Isaac, and things like that in front of cameras talking about this, especially how passionate they talk about this, right? And they are a little bit of beefcakes, that helps. Emilia Goth is the cheesecake.
I gotta get Jared Leto off there. I don't want to see that guy anymore, to be honest.
So they missed opportunities to utilize movies that made sense for the month. Tron has never been the hugest big box office smash, right? The first one is a cult classic. It didn't do that well in theaters. The second one, Legacy, did better, but it didn't do as well as the studio wanted to do. That's why we didn't get an immediate sequel right away. And Tron Ares was just a mixture of confusing decisions. Having Jared Leto, who's never sold a movie in his life, be the lead. Having oh my God, what's her name from Past Lives? What is
Greta Lee?
Greta Lee, who's never sold a movie in her life, be the other lead. And just not having anybody be like a funny sidekick of note like a actor, somebody like, oh, I want to see this person make jokes in this. Visually, the movie's fantastic. The action sequences are fun, but you still have to have the actors that people want to see, especially in a franchise that's not really much of a franchise. The first movie didn't do well. The second one had decent holdings, but didn't have that much. The TV show couldn't even make it past a season 1.
I love that animated series.
And a lot of people love it, but for whatever reason, it didn't get watched enough. Or maybe
and then you release a sequel to Legacy 15 years later when people are over it. You know what I mean? It's like, you guys, what are we doing?
Doesn't make any
here?
sense.
Not
And then you
setting it
release
up
a
for
musical
success.
biopic with a man who's not a movie star. I love Jeremy Allen White, but people
He's
know
not
him
there
for
yet. You know what I mean?
TV shows.
Yeah, the
Bear,
Claw, right?
Lip,
Is that it? The Claw,
the Iron Claw.
The Iron Claw did not do well, even though it was received,
very
well, but it didn't make money. And so it seems like, I think there's a few key contributing factors here, and I want to go through it, okay? And you touched on a lot of these. So I wanted to say, the thin blockbuster pipeline, right? There weren't many marquee titles scheduled for October that could draw big crowds. Tron Ares turned out to perform very badly relative to the budget and expectations. Halloween weekend is often boosted by strong horror releases, but this year horror was underwhelming in the month. Black Phone 2 had some success, but it wasn't enough to offset the broader slump. And then calendar and timing. Halloween landed on Friday this year, which may have altered typical audience behavior. People are out, social plans, sports events, including the World Series finale, which occurred at the same time, which may have diverted attention. And then on top of that, this is a smaller one, but it is true that, with streaming and other entertainment options, maybe less enthusiasm for mid-tier releases. If people don't see a must-go film, they're probably going to skip out on it. Yeah. And then even films that had potential under-delivered, reinforcing the slump. So there was a lot of key factors. On top of that, it is also now being reported that AMC has lost almost $500 million in Q3 alone this year, which means that people are not going to the movies as much anymore. And AMC's idea of getting people back into the theater is this really smart idea to raise prices. That's how you're going to get people back in the seats. On top of that, let's make popcorn $30 effing dollars, and we'll throw in 2 drinks where I could get that for $2.50 at the store at Safeway. Bring it in. So it seems like theaters are not understanding that you guys are becoming your own worst enemy, that you're looking at the data and ticket sales are down by over 10, 12%. But then the average ticket price is up over 7, 8% from year to date. These things don't compute. If you're not getting butts in the seats, then you should not be raising the price on the audience because they are going to just go home and stream something.
Yeah.
You need to make the theater more attractive. Does that mean in October only releasing 2 titles that are horror genre? That is not going to get them to want to go to the theaters. So it seems like these theater owners are not understanding how to pull the audience and are kind of making the wrong decision every turn to make the theater going experience more robust again.
And moving Mortal Kombat also hurt. That probably would have been huge. That would have been huge. Also, it's weird that all the Marvel movies released so early in the year. We usually would get one in the holiday season, right?
Yeah, at least November, right?
Like, Thunderbolt,
Thor,
or Fantastic Four would have did great around this time.
I want to go see a superhero movie with my family in the theaters during the holidays.
Yeah,
I know, I know, Doomsday is going to do gangbusters in December next year. I think that is the correct decision. I think
Yeah.
that was the smart decision that they did. But these are clear issues and clear data that these theaters are seeing. And what is their idea of making it better? Let's have 30 minutes of trailers before the movie to pull you completely out of it. Or sometimes try and go late to skip it. And sometimes they play it and you miss the beginning of the movie. These are not the moves to make when you are trying to get people back in the theaters. These are counterintuitive to having that old school theater going experience that made us fall in love with going to the movies.
And they're playing TV show commercials in the theaters now. That's what makes it work.
I don't want a trailer, a commercial for, Metro Mobile or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It makes you feel like, oh, I could have did this at home. That's all it makes it feel like. It's so stupid. It doesn't. They're not understanding the situation that they're in, and there's a potential for the theater to become a boutique situation instead of a widespread situation where now places might have 2 or 3 theaters in total, and it's like a special thing that if you are that type of person to go, you'll go, but it won't be this wide access thing. Because they're not doing. Why not release classic horror films all throughout October, right? Like a lot of people are excited for the Kill Bill release, right? I think that's going to do some numbers where they're combining both movies.
I get a ticket.
Why not release Poltergeist, Exorcist,
do re-releases? Yeah,
The Thing,
Halloween,
on Halloween.
What are we doing?
Friday the 13th. All the classics.
Do a double feature of Black Phone 1 and Black Phone 2. I would go to that. Like, that would be awesome. Like, there's just so much more you can do. And it seems like you're scared to spend the money because you don't trust that the payoff, like the risk is not worth the reward, right?
Yeah.
And so now you're doing things counterintuitive that are turning people off from even going to the movies. That is not how you do it. So that is very sad. It's a very sad thing to report this kind of news because, and especially with the AMC reporting their losses as well, because it seems like I don't know where we will be in the next 10 years when it comes to movie theaters, that there's going to be a lot of closures. It's going to be a lot less theater going, a lot less movies in the theaters, a lot more streaming. If Netflix buys Warner Brothers or another streaming service does, I'm getting scared now based on these numbers, based on the sales and the deals that are happening, what theaters will look like in the next 10 years. Drop a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. Does this surprise you? Is there any reasons why you might not have gone to the movie theaters recently? Is there something that you think could get us back to the theater going experiences that we used to have? Is it because of the price tag, which is totally understandable? Drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think. All right, guys. With that down, I want to move on to this. So speaking of blockbusters in the movie theaters, in 2000 and man, when was this? 2008? We had J.J. Abrams introduce his brand of Star Trek. And it was a mass resurgence for the franchise on the big screen. And it really, catapulted Chris Pine into the stratosphere as a serious actor that people wanted to go see. And so people were wondering, are we going to get a 4th Star Trek movie with Chris Pine, with the other characters, Zoe Saldana, that people really fell in love with at a point in the theaters? Well, apparently, no, we're not getting them. And that the Kelvin timeline movies are actually kaput. This comes to us from trekmovie.com. They say the long saga for Star Trek to return to big screen has taken another turn. Paramount is saying goodbye to one era of the film franchise. It's been over 9 years since Star Trek Beyond exited theaters with underwhelming box office performance, leading to several regimes at Paramount Pictures struggling to find a way to make a 14th big screen Trek work. As being reported in Variety cover feature all about Paramount's first 100 days under new CEO David Ellison and his Skydance team, Trek looks to be taking another turn. According to the Hollywood Trade, Paramount Pictures is deprioritizing some projects while bringing new focus to others as the studio looks to up its overall pace of releases, which includes an update on Trek on the big screen. This was actually a little excerpt that people are now focusing on from the 100 Days report that was going around. And it stated that there has also been a focus on reinvigorating certain franchises. The hope is to have a fresh Star Trek movie, though the studio has moved on from the idea of bringing back Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, and the rest of the ensemble from the J.J. Abrams reboot. So we can safely put that to rest. Of course, there was rumblings back in 2022 that director Matt Shakman was going to possibly a Dune movie where Chris Pine's, Captain Kirk was going to go on an adventure with the other Chris Hemsworth, and there was going to be a time travel, and there was all these rumors. Well, it is safe to say that we are getting a hard reboot on Star Trek in the movies. I want to ask you, Zach, what do you think about finally putting the nail in the coffin when it comes to the Kelvin franchise? And do you think this is the right steps to reintroducing a new Star Trek franchise in the movies?
This makes me a little sad because I really love the Kelvin timeline. I love all three of those movies. Thought they were great. I kind of expected this because Paramount announced that Star Trek 4 was happening in, I believe, 2022 during their upfronts.
Yes.
And when I found out that the actors didn't know that this movie was happening, they found out during the same time we all found out. I was like, oh yeah, this movie's not happening. You announced this movie before you got them under contract? Now they're going to ask for a crazy amount of money because they're like, well, you announced it, so you need us so we can ask for the money we want, and then the budget's going to blow up. And that's probably exactly what happened. You have Chris Pine, who's a big actor, Zachary Quinto, he's not as big as he was during that time, but he's still a name. Zoe Saldana is an Oscar winner now. So give me my money. So I can see them going like, all right, this is not going to be worth it because probably the people who are fans of this timeline have already moved on because it's been so long, and we felt like this was already over. There's a fly in my room that is driving me nuts. Sorry if you see my hands.
That's J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, stop talking about my franchise. So I think it's about time. I want to see, just like Star Wars, I want to see Star Trek on the big screen.
Same.
And if we're going to start fresh with a fresh bunch of actors who are cheaper than these grisly actors that we've had, and then maybe, timeline stuff happens and we do get the Kelvin timeline again, but in a different way, in a crossover movie, then fine. But let's start fresh. Let's get some young bloods in here so we can start with new fans of
only
the
fans.
So people that are like 10, 15 years younger than me and you.
Yeah, no, I think it's time. I think this is the right move because, for all intents and purposes, this iteration of the Star Trek franchise with Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto has been done for a while. Like the report said, it's been 9 years. I don't think there is a hunger for this iteration on the big screen anymore. And I think it's time to go back to the drawing board and really figure out, how do we want to make Star Trek represent it on the big screen for a new audience, for more younger people to fall in love with this franchise that we know is iconic, but could still use more on the big screen. They're already doing stuff on the TV screen. We don't need to talk about that. But Star Trek on the big screen has always had its moment in cinematic history. Whether it's, Star Trek 2 with Khan, whether it's, the Next Generation movies like First Contact, which I loved in theaters, to J.J. Abrams revitalizing how people can view this with the light flares and the action and the adventure and really making it fun. And for a lot of people, those movies really worked. But that was a while ago. And we are in a new era with superheroes and sci-fi movies like Dune. And it's the landscape is very different. So how can we create Star Trek and have it say something like it always has on the smaller screen? What Star Trek was able to do, and was its superpower, was it was able to take real world problems and put it into a science fiction story and make it speak to our time and what's going on in the world and have something to say. And that's really why Star Trek resonated with so many people. It wasn't until J.J. Abrams made it this action adventure type movie that it really kind of changed what people had grown to love about Star Trek. I think it is time to get back to that, to get back to the science fiction storytelling of real world issues that are going on today, to really make Star Trek stand out as its own franchise and really have something to say on the big screen. That's really where I think we need to get back to with Star Trek.
And I think that the way the world is, and I'm working on a video about how film is reflecting a lot of the things that's going on in the real world.
Yep.
I think that's if you get someone that can find a way to make a fun film that does reflect some of the troubles that we're having in the real world, I think Star Trek is ripe for tackling all that in a science fiction way, kind of showing a futuristic version of it with aliens that people can relate to,
Yes.
then go, oh, maybe what's going on in such and such isn't great.
Paul Thomas Anderson. No, I was good.
Hey, I'm mixed on that because he's not a big box office earner.
One battle in space.
One battle in space. But if any franchise can do it, it's Star Trek, right? Like, it's one of those franchises that is not like $1 billion each movie,
Right.
but they make a good amount of money. And I think that he has a good enough eye and enough cachet. He could get some great actors to be in the film.
No, I don't want him. I honestly, I don't know. I haven't taken the time to think of like who is the next J.J. Abrams to take Star Trek on the big screen and push it even further. Woo! Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele. Yeah, that you're right. Those are good ones. Those are good ones. But they need to have something to really say, because I don't want to see a Star Trek movie try to be a Star Wars movie or try to be a Guardians movie. Like, that isn't what Star Trek is. And Star Trek has that superpower of really having something to say about the world we live in within a science fiction story. And so that's what I want them to hold on to when they're thinking of how we can revitalize this franchise. You can still have the action. You can still have the suspense. You can still have the fun.
It's gotta be fun.
But you can still have something that like the movie says about our world and our problems today. Yeah. That is what Star Trek is all about. So let us know what you guys think. Do you think this is the right move to get away from the Kelvin timeline and recast, redo it, and introduce it to a new generation? Or did you want to see, that Kelvin timeline conclude and have Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto have that send off, because they were playing iconic characters from the original series? I totally get that. So drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think. All right, guys, we're almost out of here. I told you it was a jam-packed. And I can hear my wife eating dinner without me. I told her if this goes over, go ahead. So I'm getting hungry, but I wanted to get into this before we bounce off of here. Stranger Things 5 is coming out. We are hot on the heels of the press tour starting. The interviews are starting. And unfortunately, we got some news about two co-stars, Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour, having some conflicts on set. So much so that there was a filed harassment claim from Bobby Brown against David Harbour. And so we were wondering, how is this going to affect them selling, season 5, the finale, and what was that going to look like? And so this past week on Thursday, they had the red carpet premiere of the first part of season 5 of Stranger Things. And lo and behold, these actors were all smiles on the carpet.
Yep.
And so we were wondering, okay, what's going on? Like, this is weird because those things came out and then there was this damage control. Like, what's going on? So this comes to us from Variety. They say David Harbour's not having a great month. But attendees at the Los Angeles premiere this past week for the 5th and final season of Stranger Things might not have noticed. Harbour was all smiles on the red carpet, particularly as he playfully hugged co-star Millie Bobby Brown, and they took selfies with fans. The two arrived at the event together and even traded compliments and interviews on the carpet. Brown told Entertainment Tonight that she obviously had a really special bond with David because we have a father and daughter relationship. We do every scene together. It's been so special to have him along the journey for me. When Harbour spoke with ET, the only outlet he granted an interview with, he said of Brown, "I adore her. I've been proud to watch all of them grow up and become such great artists. This particular project is so special, and we've gotten to know each other so deeply." If the two seemed overly chummy on Thursday, perhaps that was the point. The premiere event came just days after the UK's Daily Mail report that Brown had filed a complaint of bullying and harassment against Harbour prior to the start of production of season 5. So this actually happened before they started filming season 5. Neither star commented on the story. Harbour limited his interactions with the press at the premiere. The news of Brown's complaint against Harbour has threatened to overshadow coverage of the final season of Stranger Things. But insiders say that even before recent news, Harbour wasn't expected to take part in press junkets for the show due to his busy filming schedule regardless. His upcoming film projects next year include HBO's DTF St. Louis with Jason Bateman and Linda Cardellini, and of course Avengers Doomsday opening in December 2026. PR experts suggest to Variety that the red carpet choreography, they're calling, as well as the full cast appearance together on stage at the TCL Chinese Theater prior to screening episode 1, was meant to send a message that the cast is united and that the show is bigger than any one person. The goal in these situations is to make it no worse, one crisis PR exec said. Instead, Netflix leaned into the imagery of Harbour and Brown being playful on the carpet, posting a video of the two as they greeted fans. Brown's fashion brand, Florence by Mills, liked the video and all this happy stuff. So, and then we have, obviously the Duffer brothers saying, we've been doing this for 10 years. We're like family. Like those are wildly inaccurate reports. We're happy that our set is somewhere everyone can feel safe and happy. So it seems like damage control was in full effect on the red carpet. I want to ask you, how do you feel about the reports that came out earlier in the week? And then the images and the happy, content, loving family of a cast on the red carpet this past Thursday.
It's interesting because there's been negative news about David Harbour when it comes to his ex-wife and things going on with that, and people feel like, hey, Lucas, it feels like people are like on a downturn on David Harbour, where one moment it felt like he was like this beloved, lovable guy who's gruffy in movies and people really love seeing him.
Right.
Now it seems like people are kind of like turning on because of some of the reports that happened with his ex-wife. And it feels like this report now coming out right when they're about to make this premiere, literally like maybe a couple days or a week before, feels like people are digging up something to kind of just make things worse for him and trying to continue that momentum to make him look bad, possibly get him off the red carpet or any press junkets to dim his star. I do think that's there. But on the other hand, I do think there is a possibility that there was an altercation between him and Millie Bobby Brown. That stuff like this happens on movie sets, right? We've learned that there was an altercation on the Doomsday set between two actors. We don't know who between who and what happened. We don't know the extent. I think what the problem was is because of what happened with his ex-wife and then Millie Bobby Brown being a young woman. I think that's where people were like, what everything goes towards the worst.
Do you believe that his ex-wife maybe had anything to do with these reports coming out?
That I don't want to put on her.
Speculate. No, that's true. But it's kind of happened around the same time. With her album coming out with lyrics directly at David Harbour for how he treated her during the relationship from her point of view. It seems like kind of simpatico with both these stories coming out around the same time.
Bit of like a hit piece situation.
And that happens.
It happens. So I do think we don't know the full extent of what the altercation with Millie Bobby Brown, based on the fact that she's never publicly said anything bad about him. Or it's never felt like there was like a rift between her and him. And on past red carpets or interactions, they've looked really like fatherly, daughtery as well, like the same that they looked here. So it didn't feel performative. But then, like what the Duffer Brothers said, and like all the context, and it's like, it's PR damage control. It's like, do it a little bit more than you normally would, because we got to make sure people feel like you guys are great, because we do not need Stranger Things 5 getting any bad press, because so much is riding on the show.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? Because we've seen other shows go 10 years, whether it's, Friends, How I Met Your Mother, Modern Family, like it's a big, whether, regardless of the seasons, going 10 years with the same cast, you become family, and families fight. And, was this fight too big where they couldn't work it out on their own? Maybe so. Yeah. Was the Daily Mail and other outlets maybe blowing it up more than what it seemed? Yes, they tend to do that a lot of time. Yeah. I think the fact is something did happen between Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour. Was it as serious as some people say? Obviously, it's more of like teasing and harassment and not like sexual in any nature, which they made it very clear. But did he pass a line because he is so comfortable with her and his castmates? Yeah. It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
But as we can see, Netflix is too big to fail, and they're not going to let something like this derail their biggest show of all time. And so it's interesting. They're lucky they had the red carpet to kind of like have this, damage control performance ready to go. And if it was that big of a deal, they wouldn't have done the red carpet together. No matter, I saw comments like, oh, they're getting paid a lot to do this. And it's like, yeah, they get paid to do press, of course. Yeah. But we've seen time and time again where they will refuse to do press with that person. And that's that. I don't think. And then if they're ever forced, that's going to come out. It's going to look very badly on the show, on Netflix. So was it bad enough where they can't be in the same room? It doesn't look like that. And it looks like this possibly could just be a case of tablets running with the story, getting it blown way out of proportion. But in the end of the day, the only people that really know are these two up here. So
Can I get my tinfoil hat on real quick? My begonia, I like to call
I
it
would
now.
love, yes, I would love for you to do so.
There has been what seems like a lack of excitement for Stranger Things 5 when it comes to trailers and press. People aren't jumping at it like they have in previous seasons. So there is a possibility that the PR for Netflix saw what was going on with David Harbour and his ex-wife and the bad press there, and saw how it kind of uplifted his name in the press, and people were kind of looking at the stuff.
Dang.
And they could have this is a small incident that did happen on set that had to be reported because it happened on set, and that's why there was a complaint filed, because that happens, right? Like, you might have an issue with a coworker and you don't want to file a complaint, but because it happened during work hours or in front of a manager, you have to.
100%.
They use that, and here, Daily Mail, take that real quick and blow it up. So that now people go see the premiere and look at the photos and start talking about it to see if they
examining it.
There's a possibility.
There is a possibility. I just wanted to get into it because originally I had this story ready to go when that stuff came out, and then the red carpet came out, and so I didn't want this segment to be something like, what's the drama? I wanted it to be more of like a discussion of how these things can get twisted, how they can be used to promote or make something bigger. And it's just interesting because this isn't the first time that we've seen controversy kind of boost people's excitement about a project. And you best believe this will not be the last time. And for a lot of people, including, when I asked Lucas, a lot of people haven't even really heard of it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's honestly not even on a lot of people's radar unless you're really like us and you're focused on what's going on in Hollywood. So is it that big of a deal? It doesn't seem like it now. Of course, more can come out and we can get more context and really see what's going on. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like it's so serious that these two hate each other and they can't be in the same room. It seems like something that was used to maybe promote the show a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that maybe this was blown out of proportion? Do you think that, of course, all harassment claims should be taken seriously? Do you think that there's more to the story that might come out that we don't know about? Drop a comment below and let us know what you guys think. All right, guys, that will do it for the show. We went through a lot of stuff. Please comment, like, subscribe. We want you guys to be here for the conversation, for the journey. This stuff is great to talk about. And I got to thank my boy Zach for being on the show. It is a pleasure always speaking to you about this stuff. And I want to put this out there for you guys because it's not every day that you find someone that feels the same way about this stuff, about movies, about TV, about Hollywood, about theater going, and comes from it from different angles. It doesn't mean we agree on the same stuff all the time or anything like that, but we have the same mindset that this stuff should never be taken too seriously, that this is fun. There's good conversations to be had, that it doesn't need to be toxic or angry or frustrating, that there's great conversations to be had that open up yourself to things that you necessarily wouldn't think about or wouldn't talk about or understand different point of views. And it's rare to find that. And so I am thankful in my friend Zach for always having him with great takes on the show. And I hope you guys are too. Zach, where can they find you?
First, I got to say, also, Evan, giving out flowers. You are one. I've collaborated with a lot of people, and one thing I gotta say about you, I'm always feel so secure that I'm gonna come on and have a good time, a protected time. I don't feel like I'm gonna be exploited or made fun of in a way where that's like in my detriment. And I know that you're gonna be a great host, and you do all those things really, really well. So if you are interested in collaborating with Evan, you know that you're gonna have a really, really good time.
Thank you, brother. That
No
means
problem.
a lot. Means
But
a
yeah,
lot.
you can find me on my YouTube channel. My name is right there, Zach Attack Reviews. Right now I'm figuring out what's going on with the channel. I used to do weekly reviews. Right now I'm slowing down on that, and I might be slowing on bigger projects. And maybe like video essays. So right now I'm working on a video essay where I'm talking about how a lot of the biggest movies in 2025 is talking about how screwed we all are and the factors of how that is reflecting in real life. So that's been really, really fun. So definitely check that out. My last review was of Shelby Oaks. So definitely check that out as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you guys haven't already, I just did an interview last week called Breaking Barriers, Women Redefining Geek Culture. And it was interviewing a female-owned comic book shop, getting her perspective of being a woman in this male-dominated space. And it is a fantastic, it's boring, Zach, but it is a fantastic, no, I know it's late. It is a fantastic insight of representation in comics, in pop culture, what that means. So I would definitely check it out. It is a really good conversation. Support your local comic book shops, support your local movie theaters. We don't know how long we will have them for. And go see a movie. Go see a movie, even if it's by yourself. I'm going to be doing that on Tuesday. Predator Badlands. I can't wait. But check out that stuff. Like, subscribe, and also remember, these are things where it hits everyone differently. You can be passionate, but be passionate and respectful. That's all I ask. So without further ado, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great week, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, my friends.
It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. The Evan edition. It's the Evan edition.